When sailors are taught to navigate in our coastal waters, at the opportune time, the captain will ask them, where's the closest danger? They will study the chart and they'll look at the radar, and then they'll point out the window and identify the nearest point of land. The captain will shake his head knowingly and say, no, the nearest danger is beneath us. It's 45 meters deep and it's getting shallower. Eyes widening with understanding, the student will now notice the echo sounder and the little red numbers on the chart that represent depth that they've never noticed before, and they'll plot a course to deeper water. It is completely possible, and in fact probable, without the help of someone more experienced, that we can grow up unaware of the information, resources, and pathways available to us. We adults are the village that raised a child. We have the imperative, we have the knowledge of the imperative that we must work to earn money to survive. We know that the journey is not K to 12. It's not K to degree, it's K to career. And as teachers, you are special agents with a critical role in helping students on that continuum towards becoming adaptable young adults. In Canada, most provinces have a mandatory course in career development that students must take in high school. Here in Alberta, it's called Career and Life Management, or CALM. These are courses that help students explore post-secondary and career options, hopefully help build some financial literacy, but above all, build vocational identity, which is one of the best strategies that exists to get a student engaged in school. Unfortunately, I'm told this is tied for the most failed course in Alberta. I'm told that it's the most failed course in Ontario as well. Clearly there's a problem. Now, I've worked with 30,000 students and teachers in career classes across Canada, and in my opinion, the problem is not the complacent teenager. Yeah, they kind of don't care. From their 15-year-old vantage point, grad is still a long way off. And if their parents are taking care of everything, you add a cell phone with data plan, and I think Maslow could have redesigned his hierarchy of needs to look like this. They will just naturally push this work off, thank you very much. No, I think the problem lies in what I call the churn of the career educator. Changing the teacher every semester, throwing in Johnny New Guy, the phys ed teacher, to fill out his full-time equivalency, removes the subject matter expert, resulting in a loss of corporate knowledge and a complete lack of awareness of the research around why we do career education here in Canada to begin with. So it's critical to build value with the educator and with the student in why we do those courses. And in particular, the activities that we do in those courses, how do they help us prepare for life after school? So to do that, I'd like to tell a story. When I was in grade 2, I was at my uncle's wedding, and I met a guy who was a paleontologist, and I must have said, I love dinosaurs. You know what he did? He actually mailed me a real dinosaur bone. Got it in the mail with paperwork, and I was hooked. I wanted to be a paleontologist right through to grade 12. Now, I grew up in Peterborough back when we had grade 13, and I played a lot of sports. And in the many twists that life will throw at you, McGill University recruited me to be quarterback for their football team, but they didn't have paleontology. And as you all know, of course, University of Alberta had paleontology, but in that year they announced that they cut their football team due to budget cuts. And when I received that piece of information, I changed my entire life direction after a moment, after 10 years of laser focus, because I was scared that they would cut paleontology next. My parents had told me in grade 9 that I had to pay my own way through university, so I knew I needed scholarships. Now, did you know that there are $14 million in unclaimed scholarships in Canada every year? I mentioned this in a high school here in Edmonton in the fall, and the teacher got excited and said, yeah, I'm left-handed, and there's a scholarship for left-handed people, and they awarded it to a right-handed person because no one applied. So I filled out the paperwork and the applications, and I found myself accepted to a number of institutions across Canada for various life sciences, none of them paleontology. My mom found out about a bus going from Peterborough to Kingston to check out a university called RMC. I said, what's RMC? She said, Royal Military College. I said, was I a bad child? She said, no. If you can get into RMC, it's a $100,000 scholarship. The government will pay you a paycheck every 2 weeks to go to university. So I thought, okay, Mom, I'll go check it out. What I discovered was an institution based on teamwork. And in fact, they had the only double major of its kind in Canada, a double major in Oceanography and Space Science. And I thought that was cool, so I wanted to apply. Now here's the deal. That happened 26 years ago. When I was in grade 10, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life with laser focus. Yet everything I've done in my life since the day I graduated high school, I didn't even know existed. And most of it didn't. I just retired last spring after 25 years in the Royal Canadian Navy. I went through Royal Roads Military College for 4 years, and while I was there, I met the Queen, I worked in the Arctic, I got to work in the Commonwealth Games. I've done 2 deployments to the Persian Gulf. I've hunted submarines. When I was on the bridge of a ship, I legally had charge of that ship. So it was 2 in the morning, and we were sailing across the Marianas Trench. And there it was, I could see it, Challenger Deep, the deepest place on Earth, 11 kilometers deep. I could see it on the chart. I had to do it. Port 30, I turned the ship south. I sailed over Challenger Deep. I ran out to the bridge wing with my camera and a nickel. I took a selfie, which in 1999 took me 6 months to develop. I dropped the nickel, and then I sailed the ship back in course thinking, nobody knows what I just did. But the captain knows all, even in his sleep. He wakes up the next morning, calls me to his cabin, and he says, Lee, why? You have to be accountable. So I said, sir, I wanted to throw a nickel into Challenger Deep. And he goes, why? And I go, sir, there is a Canadian nickel at the bottom of the earth, and I got to put it there, and I think that's cool. And he goes, oh, just go. And the whole point of that is, you have no idea what you're going to be able to do in this life. I couldn't have dreamed of the things that I've done. Growing up in Peterborough, Ontario, dreaming of being a paleontologist, even in grade 12, everything has turned out different. I transferred from the Reg Force to the reserves and started working part-time in the military. The largest company on the planet, GE, hired me to manage a locomotive facility in Port Coquitlam, which I did for 5 years. In the interview, the guy said, you have to have a master's degree in mechanical or electrical engineering. Which I didn't have. I had a double major in science, right? Or, he says, we will accept your experience as an officer or a senior NCM in the military because we think you'll figure it out. That's the time to be really confident, by the way. They saw me as adaptable, and it worked. Now, after 5 years, my wife and I wanted to move back to Victoria, and so I got hired by a very small company in an industry that was so new it didn't have a name. The industry did not have a name. It's now known as digital out of home. It's the fastest growing communication medium in the world. I designed the advertising at the Victoria International Airport, and I built a digital signage network across Western Canada. My industry became marketing, advertising, and communications. A completely different shift. University of Victoria and Camosun College became clients of mine. I had lunch with the director of marketing and recruiting at Camosun, and I said, you guys have 160 programs. That's a lot of programs. I don't know how many of those I could name off the top of my head. But how does Billy, the grade 10 kid, figure out what you offer today? And he told me that the direct methods of engagement are putting posters and brochures in the schools, books in the career centers and the guidance offices, driving around and presenting in schools, and having booths at career fairs. I thought, okay, nothing's changed. That's the way we did it in the 80s. That's probably what we did back in the 50s. Right? I don't know how well that works. So I founded ChatterHigh, a web application that gamifies exploring post-secondary and career opportunities and financial literacy resources and so on. And I've had to learn how to become the CEO. I've had to learn how to do this. Now I think back to my high school experience and all the prerequisites that I picked. Has anything that I've done in my life looked like digging up dinosaurs? No, right? Maybe I took all the wrong courses. I think back to Mr. Keene, my grade 11 chemistry teacher, who was an awesome teacher, and he taught us stoichiometry. I mean, it hurts just to spell the word, okay? And no, I want you to realize I was an engaged student. I wanted to be a paleontologist, so I picked Chem 11. Plus, I knew that I needed scholarship, so I had to put my hand up and ask some questions and figure it out. And I figured out stoichiometry, and I think I aced it, and I never did it again for 26 years. So are we wasting our time? And of course, the answer to that is no, we are not wasting our time. The day that I learned stoichiometry, I became a little bit more adaptable that day. Every time that we learn something and we do the work to figure something out, we get better at problem solving and figuring things out, we get more adaptable. And we need this. Canadians today and Americans today change their major on average 3 times. So surprise! You've picked all the wrong courses. And the world is changing rapidly. If a guy had walked into my grade 10 class in 1987 and pulled out a crystal ball, he could have gone something weird like, ooh, what's the world gonna look like in 10 years, guys? Whoa, what is that? In 10 years, all known knowledge in the history of the world is gonna be on our phone in our pockets, right? We would have stared at that guy in 1987 like, what? Because back then it was rotary dial, remember? Which was one number. Like, think about a 10-digit number today. We'd run because it'd be faster. Hey, Terry, what's up? Yeah, what are you doing Friday night? Yeah. Mom, get off the phone. I'm on the phone with Terry. Sorry, man. Click. Right? Like, there was no intelligent life with a telephone. But this happened, the whole world changed, and I've been working in this industry ever since. There was no course I could have taken in high school to tell me what to do. And the same thing is true for today's team, only we're at 10x speed. right? Holland says they'll be internal combustion engine free by 2025. We're printing body parts with 3D printers. Pittsburgh is testing their driverless Uber fleet. Think about that, the social economy with driverless cars. Great nights today. Will they need to own a car? I'm not sure. In the fall, the Minister of Transportation in India offered Elon Musk a 700-kilometer stretch of land along their busy highway to build his Hyperloop, which is a plastic bubble the size of a bus that carries us at 1,100 kilometers an hour through a tube. I figured it out. That's Edmonton to Calgary in 16 minutes. Boom. Like, what? Okay, Elon also says that we will be living and working on Mars in 10 years. Now, how many of you just thought, yeah, that's going to open up some job opportunities for me? Right? You can't picture this. That would be like in the mid-'80s saying, will there be jobs in that World Wide Web thingy? Right? Now, the coin started to drop for me 2 years ago. I went to We Day in Vancouver, and Selena Gomez was the MC. So basically 20,000 screaming teenagers chasing this poor girl around the Rogers Arena. It was really loud. And my favorite moment was this young lady was given 45 seconds to stand in the middle of the whole arena and tell her story. And she got up there, and we were all talking, and she goes, hi, my name is Jennifer, and my father was a pilot. And for some reason, we all stopped talking, and we listened. And she said, and now I'm doing this training where they freeze my arms and I go rock climbing. What? I am one of 4 people that's been selected to colonize Mars. What? 20,000 stomachs just dropped going, she is going to be a Martian. Voice in the back of my head, no, she's going to be an immigrant. Her kids will be Martians. Power. Okay. And all of a sudden I had this moment of lucidity where I realized, what is my kitchen going to look like in 10 years? What are the culinary arts going to be? What's the postal service? What is the communication world? It doesn't exist today. We are not taking courses right now that will be teaching us what we're going to be doing. We are simply learning how to learn so we can be adaptable for this crazy changing world. Did it matter that I wanted to be a paleontologist and I never did it? No. What mattered was I wanted to be something. Now in these courses, we have a course, we do an assignment called Occupational Path Assessment or Backwards Mapping. And this is where, Billy wants to be a veterinarian. Great, go pick 3 institutions and do side-by-sides and figure out your prerequisites, right? I suggest you need to double down on this one. Make sure they learn the skill of how to assess the path. This is a critical thing they need to take with them for the rest of their life. Make it clear. Billy, you want to be an astronaut? Yeah. Okay, well that's tough because NASA doesn't hire astronauts, they make them. So let's pretend this is the day you're in space and work back to grade 10 here at Wagner, okay? What does that path look like? Well, if you're an astronaut, you've been there for a couple of years, you got selected. Before that, you were a fighter jet test pilot. Before that, you were a fighter jet pilot. You joined the military, you've got a degree, you can speak Russian, and you can scuba dive. Okay, I think I might be in grade 7 here. Okay, I don't know. Is that what you want to do, Billy? Yes. All right, come see me at lunch. We need to do some extra math, my friend. Okay? Now, why do we do this? One of 2 things will happen. 1, he will either go, as if, man, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. I don't even like math. And we go, great. Let's use this semester to explore some other paths that might be interesting for you because we want you to get engaged in school. Because the flip side of this is true, and this is why we do career education in Canada. If you've done the work to figure out that path and you're going, yeah, man, I love math. I would be an engineer. I'd go to military college. I'd be a fighter jet pilot. That would rock. You know what you're doing? You're bonding with this idea of the path. You can see yourself on the path all the way to the goal of the career, and that is the definition of hope. And hope is the biggest predictor of your success. Let me say this again. Believing in a goal that you can reach and believing in a path that you can follow is the definition of hope. Now, there is a third part, agency, which is the willpower to start on that path. But hope, better than grades, personality, and intelligence, is the biggest predictor of what I call your success, objective academic achievement. It is very important for them to learn this. Now, we all know this intuitively, so I like to say this story to make this clear. How many of you can cook? How many of you do the cooking at home? I don't know if I can see any hands. Okay, I'm sure there's hands. I'm a lucky guy. My wife does all the cooking at home. She's an amazing cook, and we have twin 10-year-old daughters that are very athletic, so basically she's like feeding them all. This is kind of a headlock. She's feeding them all awake, and it's really tiring, and she might say to me, Lee, you're on for Saturday, okay? Now stop crying, right? Don't worry, the recipe's on the counter, but don't mess up. It's always there. Would it make any sense for me to go to the grocery store, grab a shopping cart, walk through the aisles going, hey, that looks good, throw that in the basket. Hey, what's he doing? Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Throw that in the basket, come back to the cashier, pay for everything, go home 1 hour before dinner on Saturday, and then look at the recipe for the first time and go, oh no, I've totally screwed up. I got all the wrong ingredients. I was supposed to start marinating meat yesterday. Like, she's gonna kill me. All right, kids, hop in the car. We're going to Starbucks for dinner. You really gotta sell that one, right? Starbucks is kind of weird too, right? Okay. What would you have done? Michael, what would you have done? Oh, I got you. Okay, you would have looked at the recipe first, right? Okay. You would have looked at the recipe first, right? The occupational path assessment is looking at the recipe before you go through all these years of school. I don't care how smart you are. If you don't look at the recipe, you're probably going to get the wrong ingredients. You're probably going to do it wrong, right? This happens all the time. People go through all these years of education and graduate with their degree, and they end up working at Starbucks. It's on the application form. What level of post-secondary did you reach? Now, if you wanted to be a barista or perhaps a franchise owner or anything like that, God bless you. That's a great way to go. But if you wanted to be doing something else, this is the work you need to be doing while you're going through all these years of school. So, teachers, counselors, administrators, parents, we must get students to actively explore the information that's all around them that they wouldn't otherwise see. We must help them build some vocational identity. And if they find an interest, then we must double down on helping them learn how to assess that path. Like hunting a submarine, we must constantly look over the horizon to the goal of the career and ping back to today going, am I on any kind of path that makes sense here? And if you believe that you can follow that path, you have hope. And hope is the biggest predictor of your success. You get engaged, and this helps you to learn how to learn, and you will become adaptable for a changing world. I believe that the career education courses that we do are the most important courses we do in high school because they're the one that puts all the other courses into perspective. It's the course where we build hope, and you are the agents of hope. Thank you.